Hello, welcome to another week at the bungalow. Very exciting week this week. Steels have arrived. JCB is back round to unload them off the flatbed. Take a moment to sign the life away, hoping all the sizings are absolutely correct, because there's no changing them now. And then take delivery. So we ordered these some 6-8 weeks ago, or started the process. Sent plans to the steel fabricators. They then draw them up into fabrication drawings and with measurements and everything else. We're then checking measurements to make sure they're correct, and that gets sent back again, so it's a bit of a to and fro process. And I think the actual making of them pretty good, probably only about 3 weeks if that. So really good, well impressed. Most of them are just red oxide primer for the internals. There's a couple of Galvo ones which would be the ones above the bifolding doors, because they're going to be exterior, but most of them stay inside, and so they're kept hopefully nice and warm and dry. Just manhandling them because they weigh pretty weight. Heaviest of them all, I think, is about 250 kilos, which is a bit of a struggle. So on the day they arrived, we were just concerned about getting them in and getting them on the floor. It's like everything, when somebody tells you something weighs 150 kilos or 200 kilos, you're not entirely sure how easy it's going to be to shift, move around. We just knew we weren't getting a crane because we had telephone lines and all sorts above us. So we were just going to be manhandling them in. So some of our processes might seem a bit Heath Robinson, because they are. We had sack barrows and various bits of pipe that we chopped up as rollers, but it was pretty much anything we could find just to get them in. You could sort of lift up and move one end and slide them and turn them, but as far as lifting them clear off the ground, it was a bit too much. Sack barrow was invaluable for this bit, so we got sort of in a straight line of the front door, so we could sort of wheel them in, bit of ply on the deck. So we had the scaffold bolts down to make a ramp up to the front door. And like I say, we were using bits of down pipe chopped up as rollers in the old Egyptian way. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. And then we were really just trying to stay clear and not kill ourselves doing it. In total, we had 10 bits of steel to get in, and various weights. The odd columns we could lift between us. Ones like this, when we were both at one end, we could lift it and shift it onto a brick or a pad stone or something just to get it off the ground. But the first day was spent just arranging them around and getting them off the driveway and roughly into the right place, so we could use the lift genie to lift him up onto the pad stones. This one turned out to be the heaviest, about 5 meters long. The I-beam itself was 40 kilos a metre, and then it got that big plate welded to the bottom half. So even getting onto the sat barrel was a bit of a job. Two on the left there are the ridges, so they bolt together where you can see the end plates. And then all the holes are being drilled in the right places. They also have to be bolted down onto the pad stones and then epoxy bolted down. But we took it slow and steady, because the last thing we wanted to do was damage backs or have bits of steel falling onto legs. But they crept in and they kept coming. So this was the first attempt with the lift genie lift, can't ever remember what it's called. So we built up a platform for it to stand on, and then it gets winched up. And to be honest with you, you weren't going to do it, or we weren't going to do it without it. And we didn't have enough people, what with everything that's going on. And for the sake of a few days hire, it made perfect sense. So once it's up there, you could sort of swing it around and manoeuvre it a bit, as long as you were relatively delicate with it. And there was an element of being able to move it a little bit on the casters that the lift genie's on. Checking heights, make sure we're there. Just see the level up there, checking it's level both ways. Checking it for strength. And then it's the column into the far corner of the extension. So this one needed a bit of fettling. We had to put some shims underneath it to get it up to the correct level. And at this point we're losing a bit of light, probably pushing it a bit too far. But she gets up there. As you can see, we were struggling with getting close enough to be able to get it up there because of the legs of the lift genie. In the end we had a rethink, and overnight made a platform for it to stand on, which meant we could get right underneath it and lift it up to exactly where we needed it, and it slotted together lovely. So once that piece of steel was in place, bit of trimming on the masonry at the other end. So you can see on this piece of steel, not only is it holding the bifolding doors in place, but also I'll end up with a course of block work along the front here as a sort of fascia, and that'll get rendered in. So you won't see any of this steel, it'll just be the underside that'll be exposed, which is why it's galvoed. and then the bolts are epoxied in, left to set and then tighten down. And then we've got the last few steels out of the way. So this is one of the ridge steels, and they just got put up onto the wall plate, ready for manoeuvring onto the floor. And then we'll hire again another lift genie, a smaller one, so we can lift them up into place. But that's it for another week. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.